You're listening to At Ease Radio on the Vets on Media Network.
Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to At Ease Radio. I am your host, Jesse Gerritsen, Jesse James, and I am joined by my other co-host, Steve Jackson. And we are also waiting for Kyle Horner and Jay Moreno to get in studio. But till then, we're going to talk to you a little bit. We're kind of changing the format of At Ease and wanted to kind of talk about what the show is about and what our goals are here. So, Steve, what to you is At Ease, and what is?
Well, I look at Ease as veterans moving back into the community, and a community that's responsive to veterans' needs, and a community that benefits from the veteran presence here in the Valley and around the nation. So At Ease to me would be just kind of addressing these disparities in how civilians feel about military or veterans, and how veterans feel about moving into the civilian world, and also empowering veterans on all levels. I don't think At Ease is relaxing and laying around, but I think At Ease is kind of being at a point of balance in life, and I think the community in general to be at a point of balance. They would do well, and veterans would do well to kind of integrate and empower the veteran community in this area. So
yeah, I love it. Now, tell us more about that, about the state of balance, or what is a balanced life?
Well, I guess my version of a balanced life is a life that it balances everything. I mean, in the military, they talk about being ready on all levels, and in the civilian world, you get out to the civilian world, and it's kind of it's a lot different. A lot of soldiers in the military, airmen, Marines, you're told what to do. It's expected on what you're going to do. There's a large level of control when you're in the military as a soldier, or as anything really. And there's a large level of control that you kind of control your destiny, and you kind of, whether or not you're going to battle, you have some amount of control, and whether or not you're going to be on a base, you have some amount of control. I mean, a lot of soldiers don't face the kind of dog-eat-dog world of having a job where they can be fired on a moment's notice. And I think in the military, coming from that environment where you have this level of control, and there's this huge level of camaraderie, and this huge level of working together, that I think it's really, really different for veterans when they're coming out. And I think to be able to be empowered and to be able to be in a community where they're an active participant, kind of like being in the military, there are a bunch of different areas in which a veteran and anybody in the community really should address. And for me, it's been just trying to be healthy in every point of life. I mean, everybody struggles, and I struggle, and I think everybody tries to do better. And for veterans and for the community at large, again, there's just so many areas in which you can be active in the community, you can be involved in the community, and you can just do positive things for yourself.
Right. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what kinds of things have you found to get yourself more involved in the community and find health and balance?
Well, for me, I don't know. I'm still trying to find a balance. I like to exercise. I like to go out. I really love going hiking, getting out in nature, going to the lakes around here, going to the beach if I ever get a chance to go to San Diego or something like that. But and then just in general, like having a career or attempting to have a career, or just having goals in general. So for me, it was education and reading and doing those kinds of things. And then when I first got out, I wrote for a small newspaper for a little while, and got to do a lot of coverage on local issues and just meet a lot of local people down in Pinal County and Santan Valley. So that was fun, and it opened up a lot of doors, and it got me into participating in the American Legion down there. And the American Legion down there is pretty active in the community and doing things like Legion baseball and boys state, girls state, things like that for the community. What I found sometimes though is that American Legion and VFW, there are a lot of people that want to do things for the community, but I want a more veteran-centric focus. So we have, I got involved in the American Legion, and then I try to get involved in the VFW and going over there, and then just reading, keeping up with the news, doing political events. I try and participate in the political process as much as possible, emailing congressmen, emailing state senators, state legislatures, and then helping out in different campaigns. It all just kind of helps you as a veteran to kind of form your community and kind of participate in a community similarly to the way you do in the military, only you really have a lot more control in your environment out here. I don't think veterans in general understand how much more control you have out here. There's a lot of freedom, and it's really scary sometimes, but you have a lot of freedom to be able to do these different things that you couldn't do when you're in the military.
Right.
And you couldn't participate in them when you're in the military. So on the flip side, in the military, there's a lot of expectation, and as a veteran, you have or a soldier, airman, marine, you have the comfort of knowing that it's really difficult to be fired, but you also have kind of the bad parts of being stuck in a job or stuck in this place and not being able to go places here, and really not being able to participate in politics. That's a thing veterans don't know a lot of times, is you can't say certain things, especially officers. There's a ton of restrictions in politics. And then taking advantage of job opportunities, I mean, you just kind of get stuck in this world where, yes, it's very comfortable, but you have no freedom to do these different things.
Right.
And if you get out, with responsibility comes freedom, and with freedom comes a lot more opportunity. So to kind of create opportunity for yourself, I think, is the biggest aspect of empowering veterans.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Kyle, we're talking about At Ease and what kind of the goal of the show is, what it looks like, for you to be at ease, or what you're wanting to get out of doing this radio show.
Oh, so specifically me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess just kind of passing on things. Myself, there were periods in which, I'd be kind of just frustrated with things, or after I got out, by the way, and maybe I'd be not real happy with the way things were going, etc. And as time passed, I've kind of learned the ways to kind of get myself at ease, as we say, just kind of relax myself and get back into some sort of normalcy, and learn things that resources I could use, etc. when it comes to that. And so for me, it's just kind of some of those skills that I learned and some of those resources that I found. If I could share that to other people that are in the same situation in which I was in, then that's what I want to get out of it, is to be able to broadcast that out, give that to everyone else, and hopefully somebody it might help them immensely, or even if it was just a little bit, it's worth my time.
Absolutely. Awesome. So what are some things that you do to be at ease?
I mean, it's kind of, and I know I've talked to you about it before, sometimes it's just having a mental state in which, sometimes they call it resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
And resiliency just kind of means being able to bounce back, so to speak. And it's kind of like when you hit a roadblock, when you hit something that's difficult, something that's that you may see as being impassable or difficult to get through, you just kind of have to shift your mindset when it comes to it. And so for me, it's kind of, most of the time, it's just having a mindset that I know I can get past this. I know it's something I can figure out, I can do. It's not as scary as it sounds, and Steve kind of touched on that whole thing. It seems scary, coming out into the civilian world, and that safety blanket is removed. But most of the time, when in your military service, you've proven to yourself that you can adapt and overcome and get through things. And it's just kind of reminding yourself, this isn't as tough as that one time I did this, or something like that. So most of the time, it's that mindset. The other part of the time, it's having enough humility, if that's even a word.
Humility.
Being humble enough to go and ask for help from someone or some other resource or something. And even before that, it's kind of finding where you should go to ask for help. And so sometimes you don't have to tackle something by yourself.
Yeah.
You can go out and you can ask somebody, even most of the time people will give you information for free. And information alone is huge. And sometimes somebody will really just give you a hand doing something. And if you just ask. So that's kind of something I had to learn instead of taking something on specifically myself.
Right. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so for my idea of what At Ease is, and I think you guys really touched on all the points that I wanted to make, but it's really about veteran success and about creating a community of people that are there to support each other and to kind of, help each other get into the vision, get into life. I mean, this is our life. We have every reason to enjoy it, and we have every reason to live our dreams and to believe that we can have those things. And so I think that it is about creating that community and also creating that mindset, as you said, Kyle, and not letting the obstacles and the things that get in your way be the excuses that keep you from living the best life ever. And
I think it's a joke. I mean, if you look at a recent Duffel blog posting about the first sergeant, the Marine E8 first sergeant, and you have all these different people in the military. I mean, I remember getting out, and before I got hurt, I was in Iraq. And you have an NCO or you have a warrant officer that tells you, oh, you go warrant, go be an E7, be an E8, and then they explain to you how difficult it is on the military side. And I mean, this Duffel blog joke just shows the kind of prevalence of that kind of that nature. You get these people who have been in for 20 years and that's all they know.
Yeah.
And then they just want to. I mean, they don't. I don't know. They don't really believe that soldiers have the tools to get out of the military and kind of perform or do anything. And so it's just kind of funny how even that kind of mindset coming from a person who a lot of soldiers look up to their E7s, E8s, warrants, and it's very difficult for soldiers to get out of that mindset like, oh, the world is going to kill me and the world is going to fail me, especially when they're cutting down troops right now and soldiers are having to get out after being in for 7, 8 years, 9 years. So I think as a veteran community and as a community at large, it's very, very important to let veterans know that, you can succeed and, you can do things and you have a lot of freedom and you have skills and you have, you can make goals. It's what everybody does. It's not anything that's any different than anything anybody's done except you've been to Iraq, you've been to Afghanistan, and you've been in the most stressful environment known to man.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's interesting you brought that up about the, not giving somebody the tools and that, talking about that transition to civilian life and how in the military it's kind of confounded. There recently, the Secretary of the Air Force said that he wants to start a program where the airmen can go leave for a little while and come back in, but they go when they get civilian employment. So they set up working for an organization for maybe a few years and then come back into the Air Force. And the point of that is part of trimming the force, because then they have somebody go out and they don't have to support them. But at the same time, they're picking up some of the skills that they probably wouldn't get in the Air Force that they can get from that civilian employer and bring that back with them. So
the Army used to do a program like that too.
Really?
Before the wars, right when I first got in, actually even after Afghanistan, there were still people doing it. After Afghanistan started, before Iraq started and we had all this money, they would have soldiers leave and you just go to school. And you don't even have to go to formation or anything.
This was specifically for working, for job employment though. So I know what you're talking about, and officers get that program,
Mhm.
but this was for you to go out and, if you have, you're working in IT or something, go work in IT in a civilian sector. Because most of the time, I used to work IT stuff. It's the same equipment, but in the civilian side, you're going to get exposed to a lot more that you wouldn't get to in the military side, because it's very, pinpointed and very do this, push this button, and then it does what it's supposed to. So the whole point of that, I guess, was to bring some skills they wouldn't get otherwise, because you have some people who have been sitting around for quite some time and don't want to do anything new.
Yeah.
But so that'll be interesting to see if this program takes off and exactly what it does. And because I mean, think about if you would have in your service taken a break at some point, went and did some civilian, job, and then came back in. When it came time for you to either ETS or retire, then it probably wouldn't seem nearly as scary. Like, oh, I had a job before. It wasn't that bad. It was easy and it was good, and I enjoyed it. So going back into that wouldn't seem so unusual. And part of that too is, I mean, we're talking about most of the time it's kids. That's kind of part of it too. You take an 18-year-old straight out of high school, and then it's that's all they know.
That's
exactly.
how they grew up pretty much and came into manhood, and then it's our womanhood, depending on your gender. And so. Anyway, I think that you guys are bringing up great points, and I think that Steve really nailed it at the beginning, as far as being at ease is not being, like lazy, or just like, it's just being at ease. It's being passionate. It's being in your vision and being dedicated to your own success. And so that's the point of the goal. That's the point of the show. So anyway, we are about to go on a break. I'm Jesse.
I'm Steve.
I'm Kyle.
And we're living at ease.
Would you like to share your military knowledge and experience with other service members and help them achieve their goals? Hey everybody, it's James from Vets On. You can do just that by becoming a military student enrollment advisor with the University of Phoenix at their Phoenix, Arizona campus. Military student enrollment advisors work with prospective students who've chosen to serve their country just like you. You'll be helping them enroll, choose a degree program, and guide them through their first class. To qualify for this great opportunity, you need a valid DD-214, military ID card from the National Guard or Reserves, a bachelor's degree, or 60 college credits. Military spouses are also eligible with current DoD ID card and a bachelor's degree. If you're looking for a great career while helping fellow military members, then we urge you to contact the University of Phoenix today. Apply now by going to jobs-apollo.com and enter the word Military Enrollment Advisor in the search bar. And don't forget to tell them that Vets On sent you.
Breaker 19. How about that bandit? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising. Hey everyone, it's Adam from Vets On.
Are you or someone you know looking for employment? Then look no further than iVetX. iVetX is placing veterans with the right hiring companies. Join their mission in putting veterans in inspiring careers with ensured success. Access their national pipeline of military talent for companies. All veterans are pre-screened for 55 soft skill sets, 800 clarification types, education, experience, salary range, and so much more. iVetX can help you find the perfect job to veteran match. Your skills are based on what's needed for success in that job.
All right, we're back from break, and in studio we have Jay Moreno. Jay is a former soldier with me. He was actually my NCO for a while, and one of the most positive people I know. Just a great attitude and everything that he does, and so I'm really excited to have him on the show. How you doing today, buddy?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going?
Good, doing really well. So we want to talk to you about. As we kind of talked in the beginning, like being at ease and stuff, what is your biggest success in life?
My biggest success?
Yeah.
That's a pretty broad question.
Yeah.
Wow. I think the first thing that comes to mind when you say that biggest success is I think Kyle mentioned this a little bit, is a resiliency.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you put that into practice, coming in on the other side and having that hindsight to actually step back, look back at your life and see you come out on the other side, I think those are pretty much one of the most positive, most successful things I've ever done.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other life-changing events and there's other milestones you can hit, like, using a GI Bill right now. I'm one semester away from, finishing up college, so I could use that as a success. But I couldn't do all the things that most people would consider milestones if I first didn't have that resiliency and that ability to, using benefits and using people out there to get me straight as soon as I got back home from war. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your experience at war? I mean, if you're...
Yeah, I'm at a point where I could talk about it, sure. I've been deployed 6 times.
Mm-hmm.
Twice to Iraq, twice to Afghanistan, once to Africa, and I guess it was a strategic deployment to Thailand. All those deployments, minus the Thailand one, was they all kind of sucked. As all deployments do. But I found, as the overarching theme of most of my deployments were a lot of PTSD related stuff. I lost a friend in 2004, and because of that, I get not to use definite like always, but I was at an attempt to try to bring him back through more deployments.
Yeah.
It was a phenomenon I didn't really catch because I didn't have enough time home to really sit and think about it. So it was about the 4th deployment where it kind of broke.
Wow.
And it kind of caught up and it stacked up. And the more times I went overseas to try to bring back my friend, the more friends I would lose along the way. And
Right.
so it was this vicious cycle. And doing the job that I did required a lot of responsibility on my part. One person had I had a huge AO responsibility, and dealing with intelligence like I did, if you got the wrong intel, you could somehow use some weird sideways logic to put it on you. Like it was because of my information that my buddies died, or it's because of my information that I caused this. And this isn't new. More even Lion soldiers get this that guilt, that heavy sense of guilt. But at the end of it, after I did break, sought out some really deep and helpful counseling from the vet center. I was able to actually bounce back, use that resiliency, and on that was the foundation from now, the springboard for the successes of my life. So I would say that's pretty much the pinnacle of success.
That is so powerful. Now, what are some of the obstacles that you found before, like that led up to the break, and then we want to get into?
What do you mean as obstacles? As what you mean as if? What?
Yeah, like as in when you're home and you're feeling the guilt and.
I would say most of it would be not that feeling of not being able to do enough.
Yeah.
Still having that itch. I need to
Uh-huh.
go back overseas. I need to go back overseas. I need to do something. And then that itch is accompanied with another thought that's I'm not useful here.
Right.
I'm not useful here. I don't have a purpose here. And I think that those are just the raw ingredients for how, I mean, everybody's different.
Uh-huh.
And you take these kind of raw thoughts and ingredients, and anybody can make a different rationale out of them.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know. I think that in itself causes people to say, hey, I need to go back overseas. I need to go back overseas, put myself in danger. I need to be useful again. Nothing here matters anymore. Everything here looks gray. You know, that metaphor of nothing's here matters anymore. I need to go back overseas where I can actually do some good. Here I'm not doing any good. Those were kind of the signs I was now looking back that maybe I had to ask myself some tough questions. And I mean, we're in the midst of the war, so nobody wanted to ask those questions. And everybody, when you say things like that, people will look at you and say, you know, well, that's a good soldier. And that's somebody who's motivated. That's somebody who wants to get something done. Instead of saying, well, this guy's done enough. We need to talk to him.
Is there some other reasons why he would? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
This guy's had 3 deployments and he wants to go again and again and again. Hold on. It's not motivation anymore. We need to talk about something.
Yeah.
Nobody should want to go get shot at again.
Right.
That's something you saw in the warrior transition units too. Is a lot of soldiers, especially more serious PTSD soldiers, who would tell other soldiers and tell me that, hey, I don't feel useful here. I want to go back, and I want to go back again. And they'd been 4 times. Some of them had seen some really bad stuff, and just kind of trying to get back over there. And then you go through, and you go through the big line when you're pre-deployment. You're going to talk to the psych docs, and I know in 2004, 2005, 2006, especially when they were having trouble getting soldiers and retaining soldiers, they were throwing people right back in, and missing a lot of science.
Yeah, this still happens.
Yeah. It still happens all the time. Now, what are some things that you've done to overcome those obstacles in your life, or what are some of the key elements that had to come in?
One, it could be all set up into one. My best friend here, Kyle. Yeah. Kyle was able to identify it. He was the one who kicked me in the ass and said, you're going to the vet center. And at first, you got clearances and you got all the stigmas and you got all this this negative attitude towards any kind of mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And at first I was a little hesitant towards it. I didn't really want to pursue it. But he kicked my ass at the right time because I was just kind of broken. I lost a lot of friends, and I kicked my ass and I went in. Got myself some talking done.
Yeah.
I got myself some thinking done, and at the end of it, I was managing it a little better.
Uh-huh.
Although, not to my knowledge, at the time, I thought, well, PTSD, got it, boom, I got all the tools, we're good to go.
Yeah.
It crept up, and then I had to go back for some serious counseling. That process, though, when Kyle forced me to go, opened my eyes to see how easy it really is. It was incredibly easy. It was very helpful, extremely useful, and all the stigmas I had about people judging or all the people viewing you differently or being scared of you or you yourself being kind of in an awkward state, it all melted away after the first meeting with the counselors there. And that, though, Kyle's ability just to kick me into that door just that first time broke the ice.
Yeah.
And so I now knew, like, oh, the vet center's the place to go. I mean, use these people. Like, it's not scary anymore. Just do it. I threw a DD-214 and they took me for free. I mean, come on. I mean, the services out there are great for us, and I didn't even know that was available.
On that, I guess you could say maybe one thing you could say about your experience then is that there's no reason anyone should be afraid of going that route.
I mean, if anybody hearing me now can get that, I think that they'd get the right message.
And if somebody wanted to kick somebody else in the ass and push them into something like that. There shouldn't be any concern for them.
You know,
so.
it's everybody has to be ready. I mean, I think that's pretty important. You just can't say, "Hey, you need to go. You need to go and push." Everybody, it's like addiction, you know, when you just can't expect somebody just to go clean.
Right. You can't expect them to identify it themselves.
That too, but at the same token, you can't expect just because you want somebody to get clean to get clean. Same thing with mental health. You can't expect somebody just to go to get ready. It has to be some kind of, you have to want it a little bit.
They have
motivate
to be
it a little
ready
bit.
to, yeah.
And the other part too, because you mentioned two stigmas, and in your perception of other people. Now, if I remember right, the vet center it's completely confidential.
Oh, it's has so many layers of confidentiality. It goes above and beyond even what the VA offers.
Mm-hmm. And that was the other part too. So the vet center, is that a separate organization from the VA?
They have access into the VA system because I've seen them pull it up in front of me. But yeah, it's like a branch off. Yeah. So they can access the VA system files, but they themselves are a separate entity.
So they are kind of a organization that's not necessarily within the VA, but maybe like a sister partnership or something.
Yeah.
If I remember right, I think I did look it up before, and they are, they're funded by the VA, but they are their own separate thing, is what it appears to be.
Yeah.
As though I don't have any experience myself dealing with them, but it seems to be that they handle things themselves. They can tap into some of the VA resources, but it's not the same system.
Yeah,
especially if you think the VA has failed you, then you still have that resource of the vet center, there's other places too.
Sure.
It's not,
and even if you don't have
that.
a vet center in your area, like when I came back from Flagstaff, I was living in Flagstaff. There's no vet center there, but I did went to the one in Prescott, and they contracted out a good therapist for me in Flagstaff, and that was really good.
So even if they didn't have a facility there, they still
Did you contact the vet center for this, or?
Yeah, so I just went down and had a meeting in Prescott at the Prescott Vet Center, and then they were able to get a therapist for me in Flagstaff.
That's amazing. Really, I didn't even know they could do that.
Yeah.
So. I'm kind of curious if you would have called because you said you had to physically go. There, I'm wondering.
The first time it was interesting because the first time I did it, I didn't have to do it, but the second time they wanted me to go down just for the first appointment just to get evaluated, and then that's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
really
not to cut off Jay telling his story. I just wanted, it seemed like that was pretty crucial for you, that was a big help, and that was a big tool. So I just wanted to kind of expand on that, so that some of that extra information about there. And
absolutely. And so so now I want to talk about what's exciting in your life and what you're doing. I mean, what's happening, and what goals you're working towards, and all that kind of stuff.
I got married.
Yeah.
That was that's new. It's the newest thing of all is because of all these deployments I've had. Pretty much my 20s has been kind of faded. It's been kind of taken away from me. So everybody else's versions of living it up in their 20s is not necessarily the same experiences that I had. My experiences were either pre-mob, demob, or actually just being, in the sand. So when I come back, when I finally, all the dust settled, especially starting last year, I was back for the longest span. It was about 3 years. That was the longest span I'd been home. And oh wow, I would say now looking at my life now, civilians are weird. And getting married, buying a house, buying a brand new car. These things that I always wanted to do, now I can. These are all exciting to me now, but it's all kind of through a filter of this is still kind of weird. And of course we.
What do you mean by weird? By the way?
Because the weirdness is I hadn't. This is the first time I'm experiencing these kind of like these new things.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that monkey on your back, you know, that any second now you're gonna get tapped, you're gonna go back over again. It's not really there. Just that sense of
being relaxed,
at ease,
at ease.
that sense of calmness, and being able to actually focus on studies, to be able to focus on buying a house or your wife, and that transition. Even though this is the 6th time, I've been back for about a year now. This is that 6th time I've had to do this transition thing. It's still there's still that filter there. I'm doing exciting things, but that filter's still kind of there. Everything's a little different, a little awkward. It feels unnatural because there's some uncertainty there. I haven't done this stuff before, but at the same time, it's exciting, and just got to wrestle into some new skin, some new practices, some new routines and stuff. Well, I got to say that being married is a complete eye opener to anything, one, civilian, and two, learning about yourself.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've noticed specifically that's the biggest disconnect between soldiers and civilians is soldiers have unlearned how to stop doing a task when they're tired, or make excuses. No, not so much excuses. To us, it seems like excuses. Case in point, Melissa, my wife, when she's tired and she feels exhausted, she stops, she lays down. When I'm exhausted, I keep going until the mission's done.
Yeah,
like I gotta still, oh god, the grass is still uncut. I still gotta go. I don't care if it's midnight. I need to do it. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and she's a therapist, and she laughs. She's like, "Well, you realize you unlearned that. She's normal, quote unquote normal.
Right.
You have unlearned that. It's a soldier's thing." Understanding that made me it blew my mind. It opened up a lot of different avenues of thinking how to approach civilians, so now I'm a little more patient, a little more understanding. Like, oh, she's tired. I forgot what that means.
I forgot what that's okay.
Probably need to relearn that. Yeah, you're tired. Yeah, you had a long day, 12 hours on your feet. Probably should sit down.
Yeah, right.
I have that same problem. So my wife is the same way. When she wants to relax, and she can shut down real easily. And for me, just relaxing and watching TV or laying down for a long period of time, or even any period of time, you just kind of wake up antsy and you go to bed antsy, and it's hard to relearn how to relax and how to just kind of do the normal things.
So yesterday was Kyle and I. It was our drill. We had a 3-day. And it's funny you kind of brought that up, because from our point of view, let's say we have a weekend off, okay? You wake up, you lounge a little bit, but you get a little antsy. There's always something to be done, right? What's that, military? There's always something you can do. There's always something you can do, something can be finished. I come home, and Melissa has 2 days off, and I come back, and there's the dishes, and there's a couple things left out. And she had told me, she was like, I was kind of bored today. And I looked at her coming home. You were bored and you couldn't do the dishes. And I found myself getting angry about it. I'm like, wait a second. She's allowed to just like kick back and do nothing. It sucks that we have to reteach ourselves this. Yeah. We didn't. So like you were saying, so slowly, like the frog in a frying pan, are we getting accustomed to, fight that urge of laying down when we're tired.
Yeah.
Kind of relearning that it was kind of like a breakthrough I had.
A big
one. That's what we are as soldiers. We're too stupid to know what tired is anymore.
That's not your natural
there's
state.
a rest, yeah. We're not allowed to rest, yeah. It's a big one. All right, so we are about to go on another break. Thank you for sharing, Jonathan, and I want to get a little bit more. I want to just hear like your biggest lessons and what advice you would have for other soldiers that maybe are coming back from deployments, and then we're also going to talk some about what's on the news and about these high McDonald's strikes, right?
Yeah.
And
food workers.
food workers.
French fries.
So stick around for that. I'm Jesse,
I'm Steve.
I'm Kyle.
and you're listening. We're living at ease.
Would you like to share your military knowledge and experience with other service members and help them achieve their goals? Hey everybody, it's James from Vets On. You can do just that by becoming a military student enrollment advisor with the University of Phoenix at their Phoenix, Arizona campus. Military student enrollment advisors work with prospective students who have chosen to serve their country just like you. You'll be helping them enroll, choose a degree program, and guide them through their first class. To qualify for this great opportunity, you need a valid DD-214, military ID card from the National Guard or Reserves, a bachelor's degree, or 60 college credits. Military spouses are also eligible with current DoD ID card and a bachelor's degree. If you're looking for a great career while helping fellow military members, then we urge you to contact the University of Phoenix today. Apply now by going to jobs-apollo.com and enter the word Military Enrollment Advisor in the search bar. And don't forget to tell them that Vets On sent you. Everyone's going to need an attorney at some point in their life. I'm no different. Hey everyone, it's James from Vets On. Whether it was my last will and testament before deployment or my ongoing custody battle for my children during my divorce, I needed help, so I lawyered up. If you need help, I urge you to contact Capstrom Law Firm. Capstrom Law Firm in Springfield, Missouri services clients throughout the state in criminal law, personal injury, and family law. With over 13 years practicing law, Tom Capstrom understands both law and court procedures and how stressful they can be. Let Tom Capstrom Law Firm and his dedicated staff take the stress and worry out of a difficult situation by calling him today. We feel so strong about the work that Tom and his staff are doing that he'll be a monthly guest on the show. Tom is a veteran and a listener, for God's sake, so you know the guy is solid and will fight for you. Give Tom a call today by calling 417-864-0552 or email Tom at capstromlaw.com. And don't forget to tell him that Vets On sent you.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Breaker 19. How about that bandit? You got some ears on, son?
Have you ever wanted to be a truck driver? If so, pay attention. If not, pay attention anyway. Southwest Truck Driver Training offers everything you need to get started. You can get hired before you begin training. They've got GI Bill approved training facilities, day, night, or weekend programs to fit your busy schedule. And if you have any questions, no sweat. They've got veteran supportive campuses with veterans on staff to serve you. And on top of that, they have lifetime job placement assistance. Put the pedal to the metal. Call Southwest Truck Driver Training today.
Do you need an extra push to start your day? Well, then tune in to At Ease Radio. At Ease Radio is a show that explores tough questions in an open and fun forum. The program also engages hard-hitting issues concerning veterans' physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. This show airs every Tuesday from 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Vets On Media Network. At Ease Radio is hosted by Jesse James, a combat veteran of Afghanistan, so he knows the problems that veterans face every day. Jesse provides you guidance each and every week to be a better you. So tune into yourself each week by tuning into At Ease Radio. Go to vetsonmedia.com for show details.
Welcome back to At Ease Radio. Before we left, we're talking to Mr. Moreno here about his experience, and I wanted to, before we finished the interview and got into news, to ask you what your biggest breakthrough learning was in all of this, just in general, in being more successful, more happy in your life, and what advice you have for other soldiers.
Okay. The first thing, I'm just going to latch on the first thoughts I have when you ask these questions. And, the first thing that I had to really understand as far as the lessons, breaking through a lot of the PTSD that I have, all the gunk and stuff. The first lesson I had to learn, which was pretty profound, was sometimes the enemy is better than you. And that was huge for me to understand, that sometimes the enemy can win. Being in the culture that we're in the United States military that we have, the amount of money we expend on it, the amount of training we have, the amount of camaraderie we have, the propaganda and just the awesome movies that we have in media, the books we read, the Call of Duty, battlefield culture that we live in, we're winners. and it's a good thing. I think that's good. However, I don't think Americans, typically even soldiers, are really accustomed to failure. I don't think we're good at moving on from it because we haven't really practiced it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when I lost friends, whenever I lost buddies, that twisted logic that I was talking about before, I failed. That was a lot of that thinking that came into my mind. It was really toxic for me. And so that first lesson that I had to really learn and break through is sometimes the enemy is better than me. That was huge to really soak up and just know. Like, hey, we can have the best military, the best training in the world, but war is still going to be war.
Yeah.
You're still fighting with rifles, still fighting with explosions. The best training still, you can get a bullet to your head. That's the realness of it. And once I understood that, and once I really understood that sometimes, not all the time, because we're still pretty badass, but sometimes when the enemy is better than us, and you understand that, you get more of that. What I understood now is what the Army was trying to do, that warrior mentality. I didn't really understand that at first, but once I understood that sometimes the enemy is better than me, I understood that a warrior can understand that. They wake up, they're at peace. They go to war, they're at war, but they come home, they can be back at peace because they have this full understanding. It's not just one tunnel vision of I have to win. That's it. There's only one win. There's only one outcome of my actions that's winning. The warrior goes in just to fight.
Right.
Understanding that whatever happens, happens, but he's going to do the best he can at it.
Wow.
That was probably the best lesson that I had as far as breaking through a lot of that stuck thoughts that I had.
Right.
Blaming myself, the guilt, that heavy burden of mourning and that I hadn't dealt with. A lot of that was based on a couple of thoughts, but before I even tackled those thoughts, I had to understand a concept, and that was the concept. So I think that's pretty much a big keystone to this, for me at least.
Absolutely. Total shift in perspective and seeing that, and how I kind of see it like the Buddhists have this philosophy: wash a dish just to wash a dish.
Okay.
Meaning, like, don't look at the don't look at the mess, and don't but like, so what you were saying is warriors fight to fight. It's death is inevitable, pain is inevitable, and when you kind of go in with that mindset, you're doing your life for the moment. You're doing your life for, and whatever it is, and it's not something that you failed or that you did. It's just what it is.
That's true.
And then you can just let it go and be really at peace, like what you were saying.
And you can really fulfill your job doing that way too.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel it's a mission enhancer as well. Unfortunately, a lot of our masculine perceptions of what a man has to be completely dominant, has to be kind of scary, has to be successful, intimidating. And these things don't allow us to understand that failure should be a part of this. I mean, we shouldn't be scared of failing.
Right.
Now I understand that the costs are a little higher when we're at war because failing means you lose a friend.
Right.
And I totally understand that. But being too scared of failing at the end, not being that worried when you come back home and the dust has settled,
right,
it really messes with your head.
It does,
especially if you did fail,
right,
because it doesn't prepare you for that. I mean, that's one thing I really learned from a lot of my counseling. We had the best army in the world to teach us how to shoot, to fight, shoot, move, communicate. We have the best army in the world to do that. However, they don't teach you how to cope.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Right.
That's some stuff that maybe your NCOs or a lot of the old crusties have to teach you, or people like me.
Right.
But I think that's a cornerstone, a good foundation. There's a lot of great things to add into your foundation, but I think this is one part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would even go. That's awesome. I mean, it's a very powerful thing. I would even go a step further. I mean, that fear of failure, you hit it. I mean, and at war, it's even 10 times as much because, like you said, like failure. But not to look at it like a failure, because everybody failed. I mean, look at Walt Disney. I mean, he failed, and look at Thomas Edison. I mean, to even just take that out of vocabulary and look at failures or as just results, as feedback and as lessons to be learned, and as something that is propelling you to the next thing that is, I mean, if you're still breathing, you're still alive, and at the end of your life, what do you want to look back on as being, that you were scared of failure, so you never did anything, or that you had one failure and so you were never able to get back up, or are you wanting to say, like, man, I really lived the biggest life that I could, and I did it, in spite of challenges, in spite of whatever. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's awesome. Now, just real quick, I mean, any advice that you have for soldiers just coming back or veterans that are experiencing kind of a rough time?
Everybody's different. I mean, I can give advice all day long, but talk to somebody, chill out. If you want to sleep for a week, sleep for a week.
Give yourself permission. Yeah.
And I would say, if somebody, all right, here we go. Here's one. If the people that are around you who you love are telling you that that you've changed a little too much, that you haven't been able to, I would say, the war's changed you too much, you're not the person you used to be. If you ever hear that, just let it go. Don't dwell on it. I remember I had a talk with my girl before I left for this last time to Afghanistan. I said, you stick somebody into a closet and nothing happens to them for a whole year, they're going to change.
Right.
You go and get a job, in a year you're going to change. You stay home.
Everything changes.
In a year, no matter what, people are going to change.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if you go to war or not.
Yeah.
Now, the measure of that change is considerable for whatever experience has happened to you, but that phrase gets me. Like, you changed too much. Oh, yeah, duh. Life happens. It's gonna happen, no matter what. Like I said, throw yourself in a closet, nothing happens to you. You're still gonna change. You're gonna come out deranged.
Right. Change is the only constant.
And so people coming back home, readjusting, know that you're different and embrace it. Don't try to get back and crawl backwards to kind of grab the life that you used to have. Embrace what you got now. Take some elements from what you learned from overseas. Take some elements of what you liked beforehand and try to just drive forward.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that. Anything you guys want to add, or?
Well, I've heard that too. You've changed. I think my first deployment, I came home in the summer for halfway through. They give you your 14-day leave or whatever, and I went to one of my friend's house. Who's a really good friend, and I'd stayed there a lot. Knew his mother real well, and she gave me the "you've changed" thing, and then I guess that was the first moment I kind of realized. I was only 18 or 19, I think, when I went the first time, so I was still a kid. But just to realize that people viewed me like that was kind of it wasn't really a blow. It was just really eye-opening, and
it hurts a little.
Yeah, it's really different. Like, you don't want to think you've changed. You want to think, hey, you're always this guy and whatever. There's other parts of me that are like, I'm glad I've changed. So I mean, for me, I've been a little proud of the change. I mean, of course you'll hear the bad change and then you're like, okay, well, I don't really like that. But to hear that, it was one of the first times I'd ever noticed or known that I had the capacity to change, or that my personality would change that much in such a short period of time. And I think that's what it is. Like you said, normal life, moving to another city, yeah, you're going to change. But going into a combat situation where you're in danger constantly, you're gonna change a lot in a small amount of time. And I remember seeing although the before and after pictures, I think Time did, on soldiers that went into deployment and came out, and you're looking at 18, 19-year-old people, kids who are just look 27, 28, 35, 36.
Worn down.
Yeah, just worn down. And I mean, the effects on a generation of children, or a generation of kids, a generation of people are going to be there for a long time. And if you look at any other war in history, World War I, World War II, I mean, people grow up real quick. And part of me is proud of growing up real quick, or part of me is proud of what I did. Still took me a lot to develop, and I think a lot of people have problems with, growing up when they come back and not trying to relive the glory days. But you just grow up, and then a lot of people are more somber, a lot of people are more serious. It's hard for a lot of veterans to look at civilians like, they're...
And Jay had at that point too, everyone's different, so everyone's going to kind of change in their own way. So, I mean, if you want to look at life being a series of compounding events, I mean, even if you can find a lot of similarities and strike up a lot of similarities between vets. You know what I mean? You meet somebody, oh, I was there. We did something similar, and oh yeah. And I've run into guys even that was in my same brigade, and I didn't even know, and so all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, here and here and there, and you make that connection. But at the same time, how you may have handled one event varies from one person to the next.
Right.
And so, I mean, we're talking about change. We're talking about how people notice these things. There's no set saying this is what's going to happen to you. It's going to vary from person to person. And then that changes too. However you change the way you were 6 months after deployment, it's going to change a year after deployment. Right. It's going to change a year and a half after deployment. It's going to, you are a person. You're a human being. You change in and of yourself. Yeah. And some people get worse. Some people get better. I mean, and
some people get funnier. Some people don't.
Right. It all really depends, and it's just you got to move on.
Totally.
Got to be at ease.
At ease. I love it. Well, and I love that we're talking about change, and then also we got into, like, Steve, you're talking about veterans from other past wars and the growing up so quickly, and I think that one really positive thing about that is that, I mean, if you look at those wars, veterans are kind of the guys that came back and rebuilt the country, a lot of times, and we have an opportunity to do that now. Yeah, like we grow up fast, and we have some challenges that are, maybe I'm not going to say it, but just challenges that maybe the normal civilian isn't going to face. But we overcome those challenges, and we have the ability to change even that, and to come back and be at ease and live a balanced and happy life, and that's through community.
Contribute back to society or community
right.
at whole, etc.
There's a lot to contribute from a lot of soldiers coming back.
Absolutely.
I think that's the overwhelming thing, is the community at large maybe this time didn't feel the war so much as soldiers did, and in so many past wars there's been this community kind of effort and this community kind of hurt through the wars, and there are people in the civilian world who felt it, but not to the level that there has been in Vietnam and World War II and World War I. And I think those people that did feel it in those wars were maybe a little bit more able to recognize what veterans have to offer and what veterans can contribute to society.
Well, I think it was the past work of those veterans. I mean, the Vietnam generation, for instance, they came back and they tried fixing a lot of things with the VA themselves. I mean, it took them a long time.
That's the Storm guys too.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about how much the VA could improve, but it's vastly improved from what it used to be, for sure.
Right.
And so it's those same guys that public perception of soldiers even in of themselves. In Vietnam they weren't treated very well, and it was them themselves, those veterans, that were able to kind of push out into the community and change that perception and fix those problems. So I think what Jesse was getting at too is that it's kind of we owe it to the past generations, giving that example to do it ourselves.
Right.
Again.
Step up and live, have these powerful experiences like Moreno and Steve and Kyle, just, forming a community, supporting each other, and reminding each other that this life is worth living, and that we all have the tools and the capability and the heart to do that. So with that, we are closing up the show. I am Jesse.
I'm Steve.
I'm Kyle.
And we are living at ease.
see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fights, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. Young rocket treadless, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave for the land under the fray. You're the home of the brave. Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in name, the name of the brave. We are the U.S. of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. Stand of the brave, the U.S. of A. Oh, traitors that star-spangled banner.